brothers and sisters.
Give me a moment with your friend. I've never been on trial for my thoughts before.
Welcome to the Only One Mic podcast called Gerard Brooklyn Dre. J-Rob is off tonight, but listen, y'all, we got a very, very special guest in the building today. The brother is an actor, a director, a producer, and now we can add author to his resume. Brother A. Russell Andrews. How you doing?
His brother.
Peace. Hey, listen, first I wanted to just take the time to say thank you for making space for us. We know you're a busy man. You got the book, you got movies, you got a lot of things. I would read your IMDb page, but it's like longest train smoke, brother. You got over, 30 years or so?
It's been here.
Yeah, I don't want to sound disrespectful when I say over 30 years.
Oh, no, bro, I earned this.
You earned it, yeah, most definitely.
I earned this.
So
and it was crazy. I came in the game late, so, yeah, I earned it.
Yeah, so some of the movies you've been in, I mean, we are Marvel fans here. So like one of the movies that you were in, like the early, like was it 2003 something, Punisher? Was it?
Yeah, man, I was in that first iteration.
The first iteration. So that was like the one after Dolph Lundgren.
My God.
Yeah.
That was an interesting project.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the Punisher, man, Travolta, and that was a good situation. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Was that like a dream of yours to be in a Marvel film?
I gotta tell you something, brother. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know. I knew about them. But I won't say it was a dream, but how it came about was I had to go in and audition, of course.
Right.
But the director and Avi Arad, who is Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm.
They wanted me to come into the director's house and do this one particular scene.
Okay.
Out in, Pasadena. And the deal was that I think in the theaters, there was one cut, and then there was the director's cut.
Right.
The director's cut was hardcore because my character, Jimmy Weeks, he commits suicide.
Right.
Jonathan Hensley, the director, his brother took his own life at Thanksgiving dinner one year with the family. So, you have this thing with suicide, you think, because people are terrified and scared and they're like, yeah.
Right.
It's not that.
Right.
It's not that at all. And I learned that from him. I didn't know. I'd never known anyone in my family or whatever who had gone that way. But he said when people do that, he learned through therapy and whatever, their mind's made up. It's just a matter of when.
Right.
And so they're sitting at the table. Everybody's talking. He seems to be doing okay. All of a sudden, he reaches under the table, comes up, bam.
Wow.
What they wanted me to do in his library is to make the decision on camera. And how was I going to do it? And Jonathan, we spent about 10, 15 minutes in another room because, you had all of the Marvel folks at the long table, Avi's at the end. And he said, just commit to the truth. Just the truth. It's not a whole bunch of, just you're talking, you're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, bam, right?
Right.
That's how it played out in the project. I say that to say that I think I had the job before then, but by the time I walked out the room, I did, because I did what they wanted, but I had some other little color, right? Because I'm a theater guy, so all those behaviors and mannerisms, leading up to it. And it turned out, for me, to be a really good project. There's a slight dilemma to it. Once you are established as a Marvel character, unless you're Sam Jackson,
it could be all over the place.
Man, listen. Once you are established, you cannot come back in another Marvel project.
Wow.
So I've gotten right to the edge with a couple of other projects, right? Wolverine and whatever. However, when they realize and once they know, because they feel like you have established this in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Right.
But man, I'm on the street driving my Jeep. I have a Jeep. I never put the top on. I see people all the time. Jimmy Weeks. Oh, you're Jimmy Weeks.
Right.
Yeah, a 20-year-old film, but yeah, it still does well.
It holds up.
No, brother, it does.
Yeah, it holds up.
People are serious about Marvel. They're serious about Star Wars and all these different things, man. They're serious about it,
serious
man.
about that stuff.
Man, my son, he's a fanatic of Star Wars, Spider-Man, all that. Just Spider-Man is a whole nother animal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A whole it crosses gender and genre, age, color. Yeah, right. He's out the box, right?
Yeah. Certain things that that will always seem like it's going to transcend time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like everybody's going to know who Michael Jackson is. What you did a project about Michael Jackson. Everybody's going to know who Michael Jordan is and Mike Tyson. Like everybody's going to know certain things. As time. Those are one of those things. Like you look at.
Man, I just heard something saw a video with Prince the other day. I had no idea existed.
Right.
Yeah, and people have these things, and we don't really. He is so immensely, unlike godly talented, but he is as deep as they come.
Oh yeah.
Just as a man, and then add the business on top of it. He was different. Michael was also, and both are sad losses. And I've asked people sometimes, were they even ever really here?
Right.
Yeah, but they're like that. But yeah, I digress.
With Mike and Prince, it's like, I remember my mom said years ago, like some people, when you look at them from a young age, this is some old Southern wisdom. She was like, some people, you can see that they not born to get old. You know what I mean? Like you only seem, it seems like they're supposed to not be here. You don't expect to see Prince as an old fat man at 65 and 70 years old. You know what I mean?
Prince, Whitney,
Right. I could have actually seen Whitney get old. I could have actually seen that.
That may have been something.
Bobby, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we just saw the Dionne Warwick thing on CNN.
Mm-hmm.
The doc on her was, bro.
Yeah.
You don't know until you stand in someone's shoes what they're doing.
Right.
And why they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she was old school, man, but she had such depth. She had such clarity about what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine Whitney. Yeah, watching her get old would have been a joy.
Yeah, I was going to say, Russell, don't make me be the only one here in this conversation.
No.
I can imagine Whitney.
I don't know.
Yeah,
odd man in the corner, man. Like,
right? No, she was special. We do a lot of docs here.
Mm-hmm.
So where we saw hers recently, Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. And that Sam Cooke piece a little while back was good. All those, man. I mean, I'm older than you, Kat. So, like, for instance, I was 8 when I saw my first Jackson 5 concert.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, bro.
So you can say he was there. He was there.
I was there, and my neighbor down the street, her daughter was in my 3rd grade class, and she took us to see James Brown in Houston at the Sam Houston Coliseum. So I've seen some things, man.
Yeah. You've been around.
Yeah, but that's when, your whole family would sit around and listen.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, man, family reunions, parties, card games, dinners, 8 to 80, everybody's in the same room.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're trying to sneak that hot beer when we can.
Yeah, we do. We done changed now. We cutting,
oh yeah, it's a little different.
Cutting the watermelon up in the little cubes now.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Been reading those parenting magazines.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You happy if you got a watermelon with a seed in it these days?
Yeah.
The seed was the ticket.
It was, man. Well, maybe
Y'all
they
going
find
back. Y'all going back.
some medicinal purpose for it. Somebody will start bringing it back. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
But listen, your like I said, your page is just you know, long with movies. You were in Peppermint, Straight Outta Compton. Actually, just to go back, Peppermint wasn't a bad movie, folks. If you watched it, I think it's on Netflix. Wasn't a bad movie at all. You know, that's like Method Man wasn't.
That was an accident.
Wow. Oh, really?
That was an accident. My friend of mine, casting director Kim, she called and said, "Listen, would you mind doing this? It's a small situation. They've added the character, but the Jennifer and the director who I'd seen and worked with before was saying, can you get here tomorrow and do this? And would you?" And, you know, first of all, if you know Kim Williams, you go. But secondly, it's always good to be in front of certain people, whatever the size of the role. I mean, there's that cliche that on those small roles, you know, small actors, you can take a leave on however you want to look at that. But it was a good opportunity. And again, it's something that keeps giving.
Okay.
You know, because she, Miss Garner has a huge following. Yeah, and you know, you pop up on screen with them, and you've done well.
And I even look like I said, Method Man was in that film as well, and just, you know, that's our generation of watching, you know, Wu-Tang Clan. Just to see like the you know, the evolution of those guys as they get older and see them going different avenues, writing books and you know, producing movies. Like RZA has produced a lot of movies and, you know, written a lot of scores. I think he did he was conducting an orchestra or something at one point, the last I seen. And then you see,
nice.
Like elevated.
But it's also like that with 50 Cent. That dude took what he came in as. Yeah. He's a mogul.
Yeah. Right.
He's an Ice Cube even, you know. That's a little between both of us.
Right.
But Cube was turned this thing, man. That dude, I remember Cube was doing films for about $1 million, $5 million, and making $50, $60, $100 million.
Yep.
Right.
It's a good business model.
Very good.
You know?
Right.
So yeah, man, I respect and have the utmost respect, rather, for the young cats who take those opportunities and do something with them.
Funny thing you said is like to watch, you know, their growth. I remember being at Jones Beach Greek Fest and Method Man was trying to sell me a T-shirt, man. You know, you know what I mean? Yep. And that was the first, you know, Protect Your Neck, the first song and everything like that.
Yes, sir.
But to see them come like from where he is right now, and now he's not just, you know, I thought he was just, you know, going to be a regular rapper actor, but now he seems like he's being a little sharper with it now.
Oh yeah, and he's in the community.
Right.
No, they out there serving, man. So yeah, they are getting everything that they deserve, and they're laying track for other people. I mean, you still got some cats who still getting used to celebrity, but they'll level out. I hope they all do. But cats like who we're speaking about right now, man, they are trailblazers. And another thing, and it speaks to what you're doing also, there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
There's room, man.
Yeah,
right.
There's room. So we don't have to try to carve it out like we own this spot and they own. No. As a matter of fact, I think we move further and faster if we do it in a collaborative way.
Right.
So yeah, man, I'm happy to see what's coming. I really am.
Yeah.
How do you feel, you know, because I've heard this, it seems like you like them, but how do you feel about rappers as a whole? Because I've always heard like, you know, like you're like a, you know, like more of a theater actor. So how do you feel about them kind of taking roles and stuff like that, you know?
You know, that's interesting. And I wasn't waiting to hear the word taking, but I knew it was going to be a part of it. I would say this to you. I have gotten roles where they wanted an actor who could sing, but not a singer.
Right.
With them, it's a different thing because, how do I say this with the respect it deserves? So much of it is about branding and marketing. And filmmakers and producers and what have you, they have to hit a demographic. In a typical film, blonde girl, white guy, black guy, now they have Indian, meaning East Indian, and they hit their demographics. Right. It covers all of the viewers. What happened is right about the time of New York Undercover years ago, right? Malik, right. Michael De Lorenzo. About that time, Fox, which is where they were, was blowing up. And they were doing it on the images of Black people. Because they realized something that had always been true.
Right. We
have that disposable dollar, right? I'm going to quote Dick Gregory. There was a time when 51% of all movie tickets were bought by us. It didn't matter what the movie was. Cheap entertainment for your family, for yourself, you and your lady, whatever. When rap started blowing up, they said, let's get that on TV. But they didn't do it in the way that moves the culture forward. It was sensational. All the cop shows, you know, all the other things that were the must-see train wreck. They didn't care what you thought. They just wanted your eyes on that screen.
Right.
Fast forward to get back to the initial part of your question. Rap blew up, and you would know, Brooklyn, but rap blew up almost meteorically, just so fast.
Right.
Right? And the stories, even today, are unlimited. Some of those then were stories about what was happening in that neighborhood, in that school, in that family, in that project, right? And we became engaged because we saw ourselves and heard ourselves in a way that was only spoken of on the cut,
right,
at home. But now you have the face of the quote unquote community saying whatever they want to say, can do and say whatever they want. But without a filter, it became something that they wanted on TV, they wanted in film, but they didn't want to associate with it. Right? It's like their daughters. That daughter can love you at school, but she can't bring you home.
Right.
Right?
Definitely.
See, what happened, guys, when Lil Johnny and Lil Susie out in the suburbs start buying NWA,
change the game.
Cool Mo D, right? And I'm going to go back for a minute, right? When they start buying it, all of a sudden it became this viable, very marketable thing.
Right.
Now, social media blew up so large, so quick, right? It wasn't about whether the rapper could or couldn't act. Can we get him on screen? Turns out they found a lot of them. And I say that respectfully. I don't mean like us and them. A lot of them who could actually do the work as well as we could.
Right.
Because there was a certain reality to their work. Did they have the Juilliard? No. Did they have the Yale and all the other Carnegie Mellon? All of no. But you know what? What they had is what we go to school to learn. Reality.
Reality was being itself the whole time.
My God, man.
Yeah.
My mentor and longtime director, friend, and mentor, Club Purdy, said to me, he said, brother, you are walking amongst the that you're trying to study. It's here. It's behavior. It's man. Of course, don't get me wrong. There is technique. And there are the best of us who know how to make love to that camera and vice versa.
Right.
You know, Denzel has his look. Viola has her moment. Fish has hers. You know, Taraji has hers. There's some folk out there who know what to do, how to do, and when to do it, right? But when the rappers came in, we had to adjust our egos to say, you know what? This is not a singular thing. As a matter of fact, by them coming in and now taking that money they're making and producing, right, and directing and writing, they broadened the palette.
Right.
So now there's more for everybody.
Wow.
So again, our egos had to step back and say, why am I trying to claim something that I'm barely in anyway? Because we still only make up at best 10% of what's on movies, what's in movies, and what's on TV.
Right.
You know, so try to hold this exclusivity, right? Try to hold this thing as if you don't belong. That's counterproductive.
Wow.
It
Okay.
doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I think we have benefited by virtue of them coming in.
Let me ask you this question, being that you brought up her name in regards to, you know, what's going on with Taraji P. Henson. What do you think about that whole thing?
Brother, let me, in a very rudimentary sense, I do not know her.
Right.
I have met her twice. If we met again, she may not even remember.
Right.
However, her plight, if you will, is almost universal to our culture.
Okay.
You can add some, let's say, white actresses to it,
Right.
because the business of this is run by him, right? Tyler is an anomaly.
Right.
Spike is an anomaly. However, Taraji's, what she's speaking of right now, if I said she's 110% correct, I would probably still not have enough. Because she's 110% correct.
Right.
And if I can't interject, Russell, let me just give the people some context, okay? So she said that when you hear someone go, such and such made 10 million, she said that it didn't make it to their account. She also said off the top, Uncle Sam is getting 50%, and now you have 5 million. Your team is getting 30% of what you gross, and not after what Uncle Sam took. Now, if you do the math, every time I do something and break another glass ceiling, which I feel this is important, it's like she has to do it all over again. She's starting at the bottom all over again. So,
all over again.
Yeah, I mean, so what's your thoughts? If you can continue your thoughts on that.
I'll put it to you like this. There will be an actor of an equal station, if you will, doing the same or less in the same project, and they will have been able to, via their reps, negotiate a sum that Taraji and her fellow actors are deserving of, but for some reason, not even considered. Not even considered. Sometimes you will get a Mark Wahlberg or someone, you know, who will say, no. She deserves, Sean Penn is good for this. She and they deserve equal to, or at least commiserate with what they're doing.
Right.
And you don't just come in and give them some low-level, glad to be here contract, because they're doing the work and they deserve it. The numbers that Taraji was putting out, Ms. Henson was putting out, are clear. They are factual if you go to anyone's contract. There are things that are written in. You have to get your reps and management to go in there and get that. Sometimes you have to get a lawyer to come in and get you what was already there. But if you didn't know to ask, you wouldn't get it. It's just the way it is. It's not right, but you know that going in the game. So when we see a Taraji, when we see a couple of other people who are in these projects and are instrumental, impactful to the story, representation, everything, and they've taken, let's say, 100 grand, 150 for a certain role because they wanted to be there with that A-list star, they are banking that, okay, I can top this next time. Next time don't always come.
Might not happen, right?
Right? It may not happen. One thing I read years ago was heartbreaking, but it was real, and it's showing itself, even though there are more of us and more roles. I was reading, there was a strike or something going on years ago, and an executive from one of the big agencies was, quote, he didn't want to be quoted, but everyone knew who he was because they put the name of the agency and this is old school newspaper, LA Times. He said, why do we have to put them on TV? They're going to watch it anyway.
Wow.
So it's not about if they like you and want you in it. Who from Ford or Tide or McDonald's is going to buy advertising time to see him or her? TV is about advertising.
Right.
Right. I do commercials also. Actually, I like doing them. A lot of actors won't because it's such a kettle call situation. When we were on strike, the commercial industry wasn't per se on strike, but the Screen Actors Guild was. But what happened, commercials came down because there were no new shows. And advertisers didn't want to buy time on reruns. Because again, you're going to watch them anyway.
Right.
They wanted to come out, new product, new shows, and what have. They have this thing called upfronts. You may know about it, so forgive me. All the new shows, old school pilot season, shoot the pilot, come May, you go to upfronts, you show everybody, all the agencies buy ad time on the new shows. Pilot season is year round now, and advertising is so different, right, that it doesn't quite work that way anymore. But that determined how well your show would do, right, or at least how much time you would get. You used to could do a show, guys, and they would give you almost a season to see if it'll work. Their show's getting cut after 3 airings.
Right.
They don't give it a chance to develop an audience, right? So to sum up all of what you said, Taraji's statement is so layered.
Right.
Starting with, she's right. Monique was right. When Viola speaks, even though she's in a different ether, but to her credit, when she speaks, she doesn't forget where she came from, and not culturally, but in terms of the business. So she and her husband, they leave a door open, right, in the best way they can for those who are coming through. And when they have the large platform, they'll speak. They'll do it, but it doesn't always translate into a good check, if you will, for the journeyman actor, right? But again, with what Taji's doing, I think some people are sensationalizing what she's saying by using the emotional clips of the interviews. If you were to follow the whole interview and to hear that clarity, that passion beyond the tears, because the tears are, I won't speak on the story because I don't know enough of it. I will say this, when she hit this town, like most of us, she wasn't the Taraji we know now.
Right. You're right about that.
Her and Baby, and she stayed with it and made it happen. So some of those tears are some of those looking at that light bill a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, trying to get to Ralph's, which is our, requisite grocery store right here. She knows that and she remembers that. Right. So some of that passion is remembering that and that journey she's taken. And at this point in her career, given all of, not just the accolades, but the work. Given all that, no, she deserves to be paid equal to people who are in her present station, who might have a different aesthetic, for what it's worth.
Given, everything that you just said, if I put you in a position where you could say, what can we do to actually change this? Because this is on Front Street now. So like now everybody knows with her breaking this down, what it equates to. And I'm pretty sure, like you said, it's people that's, not to use the term derogatory, but lower on the totem pole that's coming in this thing than Taraji P. Henson. And it's like, how do we go forward and say, all right, maybe we need to look at everybody's contracts and everybody's body of work and see where everybody fits in this thing. How would you attack that, Russell?
Or do you even believe that this is possible to, change this whole culture?
You know what?
Because I kind of look at it like equal pay, for just the regular African American. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have equal pay, you know, just in the regular world. So, you know, I kind of look at it like that. Do you look at it the same way, or?
At the end of the day, right? It is about going to the bank.
Right, right.
However, and this is important, we have to think, our folk, we have to think in terms of not creating these little subsets of things and think of it in a bigger way. I say that to say, all of the talent we have in all of the disciplines, film, TV, radio, music, producing, directing, acting, stage, all of those things, we have that. We have it, right? But like college football, when they start plucking all the black athletes from HBCUs and taking them to the Alabamas and the Michigans and Georgias, then our base got smaller. There is a reality of being able to build this huge system of where we have studios, we have producers, we have actors, we have directors, we have crew, we have land, we have buildings, i.e. Mr. Perry. We have all of that. And what Todd is doing, brother was trying to do in Virginia 30 years ago. 30, Tim, brother from Venus Flytrap, he was...
Oh, the WKRP dude?
Thank you. I always forget Tim's last name. Forgive me, brother. Teddy Riley was trying to do it years ago in music, though. But what I'm saying is it can be done, but we have to be careful with the
Tim Reid,
I got to get mine syndrome.
Tim Reid, folks. Tim Reid,
thank you very much. Forgive me. We have to think in terms of growing it. Now, in terms of growing, you might not get everything you want then, but you are moving and expanding the base, the village, if you will. Right. Byron Allen is doing gangbusters. He's not doing just the comedy shows. That dude's buying up networks.
Oh, yeah.
Around the country. Yeah. That ultimately will benefit us because now those stations can determine what they will and will not air. I won't say will not, what they will air. That will give more room to what we're doing. It's coming. But if we can do it from our own big umbrella, as opposed to having to get a piece from here, a piece from there, we have it. We have the money as audience. We have the money as would-be up-and-coming entertainment moguls. We have it. Fighting to get Malcolm done, he went to the top dogs in our culture, in the entertainment industry, and they broke up accordingly, and look what happened.
Right.
Well, will all of them work? I don't know. But if we have that resource, we can do it, and we have it.
Right. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Now, I really want to get into your book, but this is such an interesting conversation. So we're gonna,
I'm with you.
We're gonna definitely get into it. But I'm glad that you said that. It's an interesting thing that you said. We can do it. Do you think we have the capability of working together? And this is, it's sad to say, but even with our people, it's like this is how sometimes things don't come together. It's because somehow somebody's working against something.
Do we have absolutely. Matter of fact, you know what, brother? We have more ability than we have desire. We have ability. We have money.
I was going to say, I think we have more ability than in this time, we've ever had.
We've ever had it. I was going to say the same thing.
As African-American people. Yeah.
Ever. And what happens is social media, the internet, affords us even more. But you have to wrangle it in and use it the correct way. Listen, do whatever you want. Do whatever, post your pictures, cakes, pies, gumbo. Do whatever you want. That's your business, right?
Right.
But in terms of what we're talking about, it is a way to use it, right, to our benefit. Do we have the capability? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. See, think about it is, I'm speaking in terms of entertainment and all the infrastructure of that. Brother, we have people in finance.
Yes.
So, real talk, in finance that know how to find this money,
Right.
know how to budget and put it all together. We have bankers, investors, on Wall Street. We have those things and access. You can make films now. Films used to be in a certain budget, right? You can make a film now, a very good film, 30, 40, 50 grand.
Right.
I have no idea what Ava's first film was. Personally, I think it was her best. I think Middle of Nowhere was her best.
Right.
It was a very clean, driven story. It was very passionate. The stories were clear. The acting was phenomenal. And it was one of those situations where sometimes, even as director, because I direct theater as well, sometimes you have to back up and get out of the way and let the people you've hired do what they do. On screen, off screen, on stage, off stage. That micromanaging, hire people for that.
Right.
Right.
Right. But do the art, tell the story, stay true to the story. Right. We have people that can do that for us. And we need to be able to go to them, but we have to go to them with a ongoing idea, not just singular projects.
Right.
How do we make it inclusive? How do we bring people in? Right? How do we not determine who and who isn't worthy? Now, that's real. That's a whole nother hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Of who is and isn't worthy, because we all are worthy, but because you're worthy, it doesn't mean that someone's going to give you money.
Right.
Because ultimately, they're not going to give it unless they can make it.
Right.
There's not a lot of brothers who walk in the same shoes with Bill Gates.
Right.
Or that Tesla cat or Bezos or whatever. But there are very, very liquid people who know other liquid people who know others who can put together these giant resources, right, for us to do this. And do we have the ability? Yeah. The desire? Yeah.
The good thing that
that's the question.
The good thing that you brought up in this conversation is what I was always saying to people. I mean, like, it's all about the money. At the end of the day, can you make the money back? And I remember when Monique was having her discussion, and I was like, well, I didn't necessarily agree with her on the Netflix side of things because I didn't think she had the audience style that Dave Chappelle has.
That's the business.
Right. But in regards to acting, she's an Oscar winner, you know what I mean? So, I think she deserves some more cash, because of that
their
fact.
books, because when they go and negotiate for them folks, first thing they say, oh, he or she was an Oscar winner.
Right, right.
Not only an Oscar winner, she was a principal figure in the film.
Right.
So that means she can carry an Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning role in an Oscar-winning film. She can do the work. Now, here's what we have to be real about. There weren't many roles after that she could, not that she couldn't do, but that she wasn't considered for because she wasn't a type.
Right, right.
Right? Or what the brother said to me years ago, I hate the name drop, but they are so fascinating in their longevity. Robert Guillaume said to me one time, he said, Russell, if you don't get a role for any given thing, you're not wrong. You may not be what they want, but you're not wrong. See, because if you're wrong, that means your mama is wrong. Your brother is wrong. Your neighborhood, your school, all of that grandmama on the porch, all that was wrong because for all of our training, so much of who we are and brings our roles happen to be part of this life we've lived. We learn technique. We learn voice, diction, movement, all the things not to fall off the stage. We learn that.
Right.
But you can't teach character, soul, depth, certain realities, right? Those things are innate and they will help you moving forward. Monique's situation is she happened to get a role. I don't want to insult her or insult myself by saying that that's who she was, but she didn't have to go far to find that character.
So it was made for her, right?
Well, come on.
Right.
Yeah, Denzel, I know the cat, we're not friends. I won't say that.
Right.
However, he didn't have to go far to find that policeman in Training Day.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So some of the roles basically are just like, you know, he grew up in it, so he knows it. You know what I mean? He could just jump right into that.
He knows Alonzo somewhere down the line, so he's able to just go
Just
into
fall
that
right into the
character.
role.
Yeah.
Man, and he could flip that and be the lawyer's lawyer.
Right.
The doctor's doctor. Malcolm, a runaway slave. I hate to even use that word. And it's real because that cat has talent.
Right.
Talent sometimes is relative. Given enough time to grow in your work, enough role after role after role, you get better. And I won't say anybody can do it, but he has had the luxury to, when he gets these roles, to outperform what's on paper. He's that talented.
Yeah, that's the thing I was saying about Taraji, man. And I was like, you know, like you said in the beginning, it's a different Taraji P. Henson, man. But when you see Benjamin Buttons?
Oh, man,
What's the other movie? Best of Enemies?
Yeah.
She had? Oh,
right.
man.
And the other one with the space.
Hidden Colors? Hidden Figures, yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Right.
you know. Yeah. And I'm like, if she's getting this problem to get her money, man, could you imagine what other, you know, actresses are dealing with, man? It's amazing.
Listen, man, for every person that's getting off that plane at LAX, there's 100 more on the bus headed east going home on I-10. It's real out here.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because people can stop you at a party and tell you how great you were. And, you know, they don't know you got to put gas in that car.
Yeah. You ain't got no money in your pocket.
No money in your pocket.
Come on, it's real. It feels good, and you want to hear it does so much because sometimes, especially TV and film, by the time you guys see it, it's been in the can a month, 3 months, 2 years. And we are emotionally, if not financially, in a whole nother place. Right. And so any given day out here, you might do theater, you might do whatever. That small role you might consider a guest spot, or a role in a play at one of the theaters here in 99 seats or the larger ones. Any given night is an audition because you never know in this town who's going to see you.
Right.
Cat told me years ago, man, do everything as if you're doing it for the last time.
And did you say you know Robert Guillaume?
Man.
Oh, yeah. Man.
For years. I got pictures of Robert, man, on the sofa with my daughter reading The Lion King.
Yeah. Man.
Do that one. Yeah.
What a friend to have in that field, man. That's amazing.
I knew him through my previous marriage, but we became fast friends long time, and fast friends long time. And I cannot tell you the valuable source of information and that whole thing of a young black hard-headed actor and a cat who's been out here, right? And I mean, I wasn't wayward or anything like that. I would just get so frustrated, right? Not understanding that there were not necessarily any defeats in my career, but there were moments that if I was too hard-headed, too arrogant, feeling self-entitled, if you will, because I'd done something and I thought that warranted something else. He didn't tamp that down, but he did put in perspective a lot of things for me. He's one of the cats Stephen Henderson, another dude, he's a theater actor, goes all the way back. He was in the first acting class of Juilliard back in the 60s. We are longtime friends. And I've had a chance to work with him, and we're friends beyond the theater. And cats like that, you don't get that info or that exchange, that, again, the young man, the griot, you don't get that anymore. It's a lost thing. And if there's anything about this business that saddens me, it's the fact that we're moving so fast and we're trying to have so much that sometimes those words of wisdom or that little 5 and 10 minute conversation with a cat that's coming up or with one that's been there, male or female, we lose those because we're not in the same world anymore. Right. We used to be all artists. Now we are this type of artist, that type of artist. We are an influencer. I'm this, I'm that. And that love and that camaraderie, there are cliques out in this town, man.
Right.
Bad ones.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, they are. And cool, have that. But to be able to share not what you make, but how you make it.
Right.
To be able to share a kind word or encouragement. Man, out here, you got to be careful who you're talking to. They may take that and go way off with it somewhere else.
Right.
You got people in restaurants having a general conversation, whispering.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. I tell my son now, the word artist and like craftsman it's loose now, you know what I mean? Like when somebody says that they're an artist, I'm like, he's not even talented, man. You know what I mean? He's just in this position, but he's not an artist, even when it comes to like basketball or, different, sports or different things where you consider yourself a craftsman, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's not there anymore. Everybody's like
anything. It's more
microwave and.
I will say this in terms of talent. Because there's someone somewhere right now saying, yeah, that brother got that role. He wasn't even that talented. I respect that. Talent is relative. What do you get what it is, man? Because listen, I know some guys, I know some women, some artists, all colors, genres, and genders and whatever, who are cold. I mean, bruh. Give them the script and get out the way.
Right.
Not even in the business anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because what they saw as art wasn't meshing with the hour TV. It used to be 55 minutes. It went from that to 48. Now it's bound to 43 because you got to have room for commercials, right?
Yeah.
So much good work gets left on the floor in the editing room. Or it's not about your performance, it's about what story they're trying to tell. Film is for actors. TV is for directors, right?
Right.
And the theater is for all of us. It's a collective effort, and so I understand what you mean about may or may not be talented, and I respect that. I'm sure I fit that bill on something. However, I will say this. See them in something else before.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that might not have been their thing. I know a brother, he's a friend. I won't disrespect him or myself. He got a role, and it was a great role. He was making money, and he was no longer part of the production for whatever reason. And the way I always looked at it, I know him, he's wonderful, but in what he was doing, I always thought, boy, that must have been a good audition. Because the guy before him or after him probably would have done a more consistent, right, believable job. But he got it on that day it was his, and he did. That's the way it is.
Okay.
Man, somebody had a flat tire on the way to an audition and missed it. That woman gets it, that woman doesn't.
Right.
You never know about this business, man. But so to try to loosely go back to your statement, I won't disagree with you in terms of talent. I will say our egos, our passions, our commitment and work sometimes leads us to think we can do every role.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like you're just saying, like, it's like more like coaching. Like, you got to put the person in the right position, you know, got to be on the right team, you know, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, because you may be great, but you may be a foot taller than the leading lady, or there may be a complexion thing. Could be anything that doesn't allow that to work, right? So, and those are really far-fetched statements. There are reasons, but mixing and matching is important. But that just brings us back to about 30 minutes ago. Bro, if it's us making things about us, for us, yeah. See, all of us don't have to be a certain hue, if you will, of brown to be family. Mm-hmm. Right? I got family twice as dark as me, twice as light as me, all same family.
Right.
All same family. Same thing out here, man. We get caught up into perfection, and we move away sometimes from the reality of the story. Serve the story. Serve the story. I don't care what it is you do, film, TV, theater, whatever it is, you know, podcast. Serve the story. You know, don't just have respectfully, have what you want to say and not hear what the person you're talking to has to say. They may blow it up for you.
Right.
It may be good. Same thing, man. Same thing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, I mean, and all this is real good, man. I mean, we can go hours talking about how the business works and all. Mm-hmm. But just to talk about your book. Now, this is your first book. This is your first, you know, foray into the whole writing thing. So you've done television, you've done stage, you've done movies, you've done commercials, and now you're an author. Was that a tough thing for you, or was it like an easy transition given everything else that you've, you know, sought to do and accomplish, I would say?
You know, man, I don't battle with my faith. I am a strong and true believer. I just want balance and truth just in the world.
Man.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's balance.
Yeah, I don't have to get everything I want, but I know that they deserve better.
Right.
That's me, right? I say that to say that sometimes the creator has a way of getting your attention. Mm-hmm. And I was a young prison guard, man. I worked in penitentiary in Texas. And I don't know if I was off one day or whatever, but I used to go to these secondhand shops, Salvation Army, and, you know, I like, that's my thing. We grew up in that, you know, so real talk. Right. And I happened to be in one this day, and, you know, young man, in my 20s, got a little convertible outside. I'm, you know, all of what ego afforded me, right? I'm in this Salvation Army, and I saw the family that's in the book that I write about, the young man. I saw them come into the Salvation Army, and for some reason, I couldn't stop watching them. And I looked, and it was that little boy, he was me, right? And that was my mom. And I was watching, and I felt really bad, like this boy. I'm like, why am I watching these people? And who's watching me watching them? Right. But I saw the story. I saw that story, guys, 37, almost 38 years ago. Mm. I never wanted to write it. I wasn't a writer, I mean, you know, but I never wanted to forget it. Right. So I would make a little note here. I would say, I'm going to work on this book. I'd go 5 years and never write anything or even forget about it.
Right.
But it's been the last 5 or 6 that I said, this kid, Junior, I don't know his name. I only know that's what his mom called him. I don't know her name.
Right.
All I heard was Mama.
Right.
And the brother and sister, the young one, don't know theirs. I was just seeing this family interact. And the mom was, I don't want to kill the story for anyone, but they were in that store, quote unquote store, Salvation Army, for a particular purpose. And I watched them from the time they walked in until the time they walked out and went to the bus stop, got on the bus. And I've always had that story. That is the final chapter in the book, right?
Right.
But to write the book, I was saying, that's not a book. That's a scene at best. So I had to create this world. How do I get them to the store? I went and took my life. And so the chapters leading up to meeting them in the store were all episodes or moments in my life, and I put chapter by chapter. There is the opening chapter of the book that never happened to me, but it happened to some friends of mine down the street. Very poignant moment. But again, I had to say, how do I get this kid who I just met but never spoke to, how do I get him to this store this day? And that's how I did it. So in terms of writing the book, man, did I want to write a book? I don't know if I wanted to write a book as much as I wanted to tell Junior's story. And what I hope even to this day has happened to him, and he would be in his 40s right now, and, but he was such a strong, dignified young brother. And I saw him and I saw me, and I never forgot it. And lo and behold, life has shown me some things. And I've been able to do what my friend and mentor, August Wilson, said to me. He asked the cat I spoke about earlier, Claude Purdy. He said, Claude, I'm having problems with Ma Rainey. I don't know when to bring her in, and I don't know what I wanted to say. I got the guys in the band, and Claude told him, man, stop putting words in their mouth and just let them talk. Listen to them. There's your story. And so I used that loosely over the years, but when I really focused, I started realizing, you know what? I'm trying to imagine what Junior's life was. Junior, just in those hours that I saw him, he already told me. He told me who he was. His mama told me who she was. And the kids and their story and how he was such a, I won't say leader, but the brother and sister depended on him. And he did it without hesitation. And I was like, boy, if you have a child, you want him to be like Junior or her to be like Junior. And he spoke about having this boot that he wore, because that's the essence of it. He's called shoes because he used to wear he wore these corrective boots. Per the story he was telling the guy in the store, I was eavesdropping. He was in a fire, got burnt, the leg and all that. But he really wanted those Chucks, those high tops.
Right.
And they happened to be on the rack, old beat up Chucks on the rack that day in the store. And I'm thinking, you know what? I have a tremendous ego.
Right.
But, God had me by the collar. He said, bruh, I want you to see something. I want you to see something. What you throw away, people make lives out of.
Yeah, right.
And I saw that, and I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. So this is how Junior came to be. This is how Shoes came to be. It was never about money. There's something that's going to happen in terms of promoting tomorrow that is out of my hands that will be a massive blessing. I shouldn't have brought it up, but it's going to happen. I got confirmation on that. Mm-hmm. And wherever it goes from there, tomorrow it is. But I learned, what's this thing? I don't know if it's scripture or if it's just, something in our culture. We have not because we ask not. Right?
Right.
And I ask for help from my friends, my social media friends. I had people read it because I was uncertain, because it was so revealing when I had to add my own portions of it. How's this going to work? And people read it and stepped up and did whatever. And I can never repay the people who helped me get to these 60 pages or whatever. But if it means anything to them, that they are very much a part of every word, every letter, every moment, because without them, I could not create this world for Junior that the Creator put in front of me, almost daring me over 38 years. I dare you not to write it.
Now, let me ask you something. You said that right now it's been over, the story was in your head for about over 30 years or so, right?
Right.
And so Junior, as you said, will be maybe around 40-something, right?
Yeah, right.
What would you say to Junior if you actually had a chance to meet that kid that was in that story, that inspired this book?
Yeah, man, you weren't supposed to ask that one.
now it's on the floor, brother. You got
Oh, man. It is too simple to say, I would say, thank you. What would I say? Man, you have to give me a beat, because I would hope and pray that if I were in the room with him, that I would know what to say. I would know how to, I guess, say thank you without just thank you. Right. I just, if he could see what I saw when I saw him,
right.
If he could feel what I felt, if that honor and respect and that love that his mother gave him, right, and then the little brothers and sisters, he was everything that the quote unquote, he was the man of the house, a reluctant man of the house. Right. And if I could say anything, I would, bro, the gift of possibility, the gift of understanding responsibility through the eyes of this 11-year-old kid. I'll spend the rest of the night trying to think about what would I say. I'd be in such awe of him, because I would hope that wherever we were is at a place that he is at his best, right. Whatever best is, right? Because best is relative also. Whatever it is, I hope he would understand that whatever his life was starting out to be, it made such an impact. It has been instrumental in me raising my children. The volunteer work I've been doing over 40 years, the things that I've done, and all the homeless work and everything. I might not have called up his name, but it's because of the character of that cat, and seeing that and knowing that I was him at some point in my life. I hope that I could tell him in a way beyond thank you how important his life and that moment was to me, and that I've taken it and tried to break that bread off everywhere I could in the 38 years since. So I don't even know if that made sense, but that was a big question.
It made perfect sense.
I was not prepared.
You actually answered my next question, because I was about to ask you, did you feel like this was therapeutic for you? You know what I mean? Like the project, you know what I mean? And the more I hear you talk, you had a loss for words at certain things, and, it's just obviously it had some effect on you throughout the life.
I'm an emotional cat. I am one of those dudes. And I claim it proudly. Sometimes I wish I could control it. But I am, because I am so moved by life. I'm a fan of fellow actors. big and small. I love what we do. I'm a fan of just humans just trying to make it every day out between the sidewalks. There were days at the table in front of the computer or with the pencil or even notes I would take on my phone so I wouldn't forget. I couldn't even get through them because, again, what I was writing was the notes of the things that I wanted in the book. But spiritually, I felt at the moment, that hand on my shoulder. I felt that arm around me saying, you can do this. You can do it. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth. Don't worry about what people gonna think. Your mama worked for some white folk coming up and she went to nursing school, but all of that. Don't worry about that because that's your journey. So trying to tell it without shaping it to make it seem like we were this certain family. No, bro, we came up a certain way and I'm proud of it.
Right.
The cathartic moments were, I can say this, I can tell this, and I don't have to feel a certain way about it, right? Because what it did for me was allow me also to get off my own, about feeling my own insecurities about certain things. Man, we spent most of our life, in Houston, but so much was in Huntsville. We didn't know we were broke till we got to Houston.
Right.
And, my dad hustled, man. He had 2 and 3 and 4 jobs. And mom, was no longer working with the Williamsons. She went to nursing school. So life changed a little bit. But, yes, very cathartic, also very humbling. And I learned also that, as I have learned in the theater world coming up, we have an unlimited amount of stories. Unlimited amount. You have your Delaware stories. You have your Brooklyn stories. You have, from concept to podcast, you have those stories. Unlimited.
Right.
And they are worthy of being told. I had to realize that it wasn't about me. It was about Junior.
Right.
And by doing so, he allowed me to tell my own, I hate to say that phrase, my own truth, because it was never about me. But I couldn't get away from the fact that he was a mirror image of me. And in a certain world, at a certain time, I probably would not have looked at Junior or his family one way or the other. But it was at that time, at that moment. And I also think the universe said it's time, to listen. Right. And I did. And I credit Junior with not necessarily saving my life, but my spirit. And again, what would I say to him? I try to say that without scaring the hell out of him.
The funny thing about this whole thing is, like you said earlier, and you said, and I feel this way too. I think the reason why we even do this podcast is for what the statement that you said earlier. We have a need for balance. You know what I mean? And I just don't feel like the balance is out there like we had when we were younger. You know what I mean? And did you feel like this, even while doing this, did it bring that need for balance? Because I think, I think before we started this conversation that we were having, I said to you earlier, we could take the easy route. We could actually sit here and talk to rappers and whatever. We grew up in the hip hop. We grew up in hip hop, in the neighborhood and stuff like that. But as you can see, with podcasting, this is like the norm for everybody, you know what I mean? But we want to do something that, brings that balance, and have conversations with people such as yourself and,
kind of uplifting.
Just uplifting conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it amazes me how we can have so much and so little at the same time. It blows my mind.
Right.
For all of our excess.
Right.
and access for all of our finances and influence. So much of it is us trying to say us. I don't want to separate us trying to say, see me, hear me, recognize me, care about me. All those things, if we turn the camera the other way, see them, hear them, recognize them, want for them the same thing that you want for yourself. Now we start to create balance.
Right.
There is such a solo, individualistic approach we have to life right now. We want to celebrate every single mundane moment of our lives.
Right.
There are people, and you know what I'm going to say. There are people who go on our social media and celebrate their own birthday.
Right.
Today is my birthday, and you'll see they might get 4 or 5 likes. And it makes me wonder, and I feel really bad when I see it, do you not have friends beyond the imaginary cell phone neighborhood who would celebrate your birthday or whatever? And granted, I use it as well to promote. We all do. We do what we do.
Right.
But that part of this saddens me because for all of the joy, you're taking the selfies, you're in front of the drink and the beach is behind you. For all of that, most times you're alone.
Right.
By yourself.
Yeah.
And I wonder sometimes how happy is that person really?
Yeah, if you're really enjoying a moment, why would you just sit down and take a picture of yourself at that time? If you're really enjoying the moment, it doesn't make any sense,
Right.
And there's a picture that's been on the internet a couple of years. And it looked like it was at a marathon or something. And whatever it was, if there were 40 people in the frame, everyone had their cell phone out taking a picture of the moment.
Right.
Except there's one older white woman. And she was leaning on the fence, the biggest smile.
Enjoying it. Enjoying it,
yeah.
But in our thirst to grab the moment so we can say we were there, she was the only one who was there.
Right. Wow.
You with me?
Yeah.
Right? I've never forgotten it. And so I don't know how we get back to that balance. But I tell you, it is closer than we think.
I think that now, it's coming slow, but you can see that they really want, they want this balance. You know what I mean? Sometimes I look at things on the internet and it'd be that one thing that I might see on the YouTube video. I'm like, wow, this brother.
That was it.
He got what I want right here. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's having that conversation. I think also too, even, I have to give these guys, I don't even know what you want to call them. It's kind of like urban media. I give urban media a lot of credit because a lot of times, media is so controlled. It's like to see urban media now where somebody kind of like check you on what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's the beautiful part. I think those kind of things are bringing it back.
We pounce so quickly on things.
Right.
And we pounce sometimes so negatively.
Right.
And most of the people who are naysayers about whatever they see will never have participated in anything like that.
Right.
But from here, with their thumbs,
right.
They play it.
Right.
They're in the game right now.
You're in the game, right? You're in the game.
They're in the game right now. But, and I won't be, try to sugarcoat this, but to be able to use it all in a good way, or at least, what's that mama said? Mama said, baby, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say nothing.
Don't say it at all. Right.
Don't say nothing.
Right.
right? And we have to run that through our own filter. Is what I'm saying or putting out there. First of all, does anyone care? Well, we shouldn't worry about that if we're telling our factual truth. But does it help? Does it move the story along? Does it add to the human conversation? And we have to ask ourselves that, but sometimes we don't. We're so impulsive. We're so ready to be the one who brought down a certain thing, or the first to, without information, put it out there with no clarity whatsoever. And then, you have to backtrack, but once it's out there in the ether forever.
Yeah, I don't celebrate the sensationalism of foolishness, but I do want, what I do when I say urban media and stuff like that is in the sense that, like, sometimes you have artists or people saying things that are just totally horrible. They say, "Hey, yo, listen, brother, man, why did you say that? Like,
why
would you say something like that? You know what I mean? I could celebrate you and I could still say, yo, what are you doing, brother? Why would you put this out into the world? That kind of thing,
Number two, we also, and we're getting there. Don't get me wrong. We're not solving those problems in this triangle, but we have to continue to work on learning to agree to disagree. And I might disagree. I don't hate you.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I might disagree, but if we talk longer, we may come to a mutual understanding.
Right.
But we take things so personally. We take them as these personal slights or indictments on our character or whatever. And I don't know. It's so funny you brought up Taraji a little. Man, the audience is split over that because people who don't know the journey,
right?
They say, well, you know what, Taraji, you got millions. You've been on this, you've been on that. Yeah, but you know what?
Anything.
Don't count people's money. You don't know how they got it.
Right.
And her conversation is going to benefit everyone in the long run. It's just going to take some understanding and some clarity. There are some websites, man, some things on Instagram or whatever that are moving the Black agenda forward.
Right.
And there are some that are inclusive, that are moving the inclusive agenda forward.
Right.
But when we condemn before we even know,
right,
what it is, when we say no before we've allowed yes to even be part of the conversation, we're not hurting the person that we are, quote unquote, attacking. We're hurting us because we've drawn this conclusion,
right,
that I know better than you.
Right.
We don't move like that.
Right, you right about
that? We
that?
don't move like that.
Yep.
So in the last few minutes we have together, Russell, God knows we can talk.
Oh yeah,
man, this is wonderful. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Would you like to come back? We got a lot of things we can discuss. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and bro, not only that, I was in New York 2 weeks ago with my daughter. So I'm in the city quite a bit.
Okay.
Right, so we can do this like this, or we can do this over coffee or one of them.
Oh yeah,
I would love that.
I would love that,
man.
Well, the beauty. This is, we talked about, therapeutic. I think these conversations that me, my brother, and my friend have, man, it's like that. I guess because we live out of state now. So the therapeutic portion about it is like, I remember being in Brooklyn and coming downstairs on the steps. And, we just having this conversation and, so we in a different space now, so we can't come outside.
So this is the steps right here. Yeah, this is the steps.
Yeah.
Think about this. Think about, and from a monetary sense, how much money was left and or created on those steps?
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah.
Because every conversation that we had back then, people are making money off it right now. Everyone.
Everyone.
Yep.
Everyone.
You know,
We are what we're looking for, but sometimes we got to stop and realize, it may not come in the package we think, but it's there as possible. Is everyone going to win? No, but because we don't win doesn't mean we have to stop others from winning.
Right.
I love to see my people win. I love to see kids win. I love to see children when they get it. Whatever it is, that light comes on, right? On those steps, my daughter did her thesis on kitchen table. That's what she called it. Everything she got from here at that kitchen table.
Right.
That was her senior. That was her thesis, and she's moved forward with that. And we don't realize, man, how valuable we are, how important we are, how so much of our self-talk is who we are.
Right.
Positive, negative, right? And again, people make lives on things that we throw away and forget about, right? But cats are like, yo, what y'all do, you're taking it now and capturing it, right?
Right.
On video, audio, and it's all history, man, because we all have a story. And it needs to be heard in some form, because if it never goes beyond here for someone in your audience, it will go somewhere for them. If nothing else, the therapy of it will help them.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So what I want to do is I want to have you, if you can, just let the people know Shoes is available now. Where can they get it?
Oh, yeah. Shoes by Russell Andrews. It's available Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com, Walmart.com, and you can actually Google it and it'll tell you about 8 other outlets. I got a very beautiful message from a friend of mine in the UK. It just hit there. She bought hers Amazon.com,
Nice.
In the UK.
Right.
So it's out there, man.
Yeah.
It's out there. And so I'm fortunate, brother. And again, Junior is what would be cool is if his kids got one. That would blow my mind.
Yeah, we're blowing my mind.
Somehow.
The passion that you have in your voice for this project is what, anybody listening, you should run out and get a copy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just however you get it, on Kindle and, different things on Amazon or wherever, whatever.
The sister that brought me to you, we are, as we speak, that is the next. I'm working on the second one because Shoes is a trilogy.
Oh, okay.
This is the first of 3.
All right.
Of course, I'm sorry that's repetitive, but it is. But LaChris and I are working on the short.
Okay.
That is the next. Because I feel and think that Shoes is an animated series in the style of Little Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Shoes is going to be that, right?
Right.
You know what? Put it out there. Shoes is going to be like Little Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? And, excuse me. And we're going to do the short here, Perfect World, in a couple of months. And we'll go from there, man. You always have to get other people to see your vision, but if you don't see it first,
you won't have it. Yeah.
There you go.
You won't have it.
So I'm gonna roll the way Matthew Cherry went with his thing about the hair and the animated thing and
took that one book, right?
That.
You see that? Took the one book and made it into, it was the one
there
short.
You go.
And made it into a whole, it was a book too, I believe, right? Did it start off as a book? And then made a whole series off of this thing. You know what I mean? So it proves that it can happen. While we on the topic of animation, please shout out your illustrator of your book.
Victor Onianobi.
Yeah.
Bad boy. Yeah. That cat, I don't know. I think Victor may be in Memphis or in Tennessee, but he has worked out of Dubai. Right. Nigerian brother. Talented. We went back and forth about my idea, his idea, but it was never in a different perspective of the concept. And I cannot tell you, it was worth all of, and again, it was creative differences.
Right.
It was never personal or whatever, but I had to allow him, I spoke earlier, allow him to do what I asked him to do.
Right.
Right. And he also had to allow me to give him what my vision was. And what we did as two brothers, and I love this, we put away the fact that he is so talented and good. And I couldn't get away from the reality of my story. How do we make that into that cover and so on in the book? And once we got back out of the way, I will say that, and I claim some of it. Once we did that and said, you know what? Trust it. Trust the process. And that is a talented cat. And I hope it is my goal and my plan. As I move forward, if he's available, he will be the first call, because that's a bad boy.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
That's a bad boy.
hopefully this book will do what it, like, how you just mentioned Little Bill, and it brings smiles on our faces, hopefully it's a do for generations like the
Right,
Billy
I
Joe.
saw y'all light up because y'all seen Little Bill.
Yeah,
Billy Joe Jobs, Little Bill.
Oh, yeah. right.
Fat Albert.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
I see it happening. I see it happening.
Yeah. Because that was going to be one of my things. Like, when are we going to see this on some type of screen, man? Like,
It's happening, man, as we speak.
As we speak.
We speak.
Okay.
We need it.
Another thing, too, I know you have Stagewalkers. I know in this whole conversation. Can you please touch on Stagewalkers before we wrap up?
Yeah, Stagewalkers is my theater company, and I consult now. I'll be back to actually producing. I started that so I can allow kids or young adults in high school, junior high, whatever, to see both sides of the curtain, behind the curtain and on stage. That was the whole idea. I didn't realize it was going to do what it did. Again, we have not because we ask not.
Right.
I asked Loretta Devine to be in Ma Rainey. It was 99 seats and in Hollywood, but it was August Wilson. Few people say no to Wilson. And we didn't know what was going to come of that. And she said yes. I can't wait to do it. I love Ma Rainey. I've been wanting to do it. What?
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. I told the people I was getting money from that I already had her. I had never met her. Bruh, gamble. I had to do some other little fast hustles to pay for everything, but it for itself. I was able to get James Avery. So Loretta Devine and James Avery, Uncle Bill, they helped me start my company without even knowing it. They were just there because they were actors, they loved theater, and they trusted that I wasn't going to allow them to look bad helping me, right? And they are as much a part of the beginning of Stagewalkers as anything. I did my next one with James, which was Jitney, one that I'd done. I was the original Youngblood, from the table to the stage, on to London, the Olivia, all that. And so I produced that one. I produced Piano Lesson with Vanessa Bell Calloway. Again, you would think that these people are so big, they wouldn't, but they will, because if you believe it, they believe it. Right? And they came in and showed us all what it means to be A-list in this town. And I was fortunate to have A-list Black actors, any color in my plays, and it built my company. And again, now I consult and I have the pictures to prove it.
How can you go wrong? You got some pillars around you. You just named some nice names,
Come on, man.
Some nice names, man.
Come on, man. And with that kind of trust, given where they've been and what they've done, right? and they were at rehearsal an hour early and left an hour late. They showed me what it's like to be an artist, as we use the word.
Right.
They're artists. They are stars. I mean, every Thursday, Fresh Prince and Loretta and all these films. You can go all the way back with Vanessa and all that. But they are artists, true artists, and they came and showed us what it was to commit. And I'm better for it. I'm better for it.
All right. And, before we really go right now, I would be kind of remiss not to mention your role on Insecure. Was it like Vice President Gaines or something? Man, that scene is hilarious.
Man.
Brother.
We should build a wall. Talking about students, man.
A dude, 2 weeks ago in New York, I was walking with my daughter. A guy was crossing the street. We were like 23rd and 6th or something in the middle of the block. He stopped me for that very reason.
Yeah.
Man, listen, I had hoped that thing would keep going, but he only had a certain lifetime or lifespan in the series in that season 2. But dude, when I tell you enjoyed that, he wasn't racist. However, he was pro-black.
Right.
Stick together.
Right.
And he was a combination of all my uncles and cousins and my homeboys.
Right.
Right, and he had the bad shoes on. It was the whole bunch.
I mean, no disrespect to our Mexican brothers and sisters. When you said it was brown and taco meat, brother.
It was rough, man.
Classic.
I loved it. You know what's interesting? The Latinos, the community of actors and people I would see who recognized, they loved it as much. And it wasn't that they thought I was or was not, but I wasn't apologetic. I was just me.
Yeah.
Right? And like with us, bro, I don't care what your politics are. Just don't try to fool me.
Right.
Be you. You be you. I'll be me. Everything's okay.
Right.
And but yeah, that was a good one. I will say this too. You don't know if you know this. 70% of that the crew was female.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Director, writer, producers, camera, everything. And when I tell you, they ran a tight ship organization.
Right.
Yes, it should always be that way. But when that's someone who called on her friends and they stepped up, it was a brother in there too, also, who was a longtime friend as well. But majority of that crew was female, all nationalities, and they went above and beyond, and you could see it in the work. And I was proud to be a part of that. I really, really was proud to be part of that.
You should see if you can bring the principal over to Abbott Elementary. Perfect.
That would be great,
from
man.
Your mouth. From your mouth. I'm going to try to seek that out.
Miss Brunson, if you're listening to this podcast, you got to bring
if you're listening to this podcast.
Philadelphia native that she is.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, but listen, man, it was really, really a pleasure.
Wonderful.
This was a wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, and I thank you again making a space, and please don't be a stranger. Anytime you got
I know
something.
how to hit you. And again, I'm in New York quite a bit, brother. We'll sit down and chop this up.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. And then whenever you got something, you got a platform. All right?
Right.
My brother, I appreciate it.
No problem, brother. All right. So we're about to wrap up. I'm going to put all your information in our notes, okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, the only one, getting tongue-tied here, guys. The Only One Mic podcast is available on all major platforms you stream your podcast on. Also, check out our Only One Mic podcast YouTube channel to catch up on the past and current episodes. And please don't forget to rate the show and subscribe. And you can check us out on Instagram. And I had to change this, Russell, to X instead of Twitter at The Only One Mic P1, Facebook and LinkedIn at The Only One Mic Podcast. You can contact us via email at theonlyonemic00@gmail.com or call us with your comments or questions at 302-367-7219. We thank you once again for your time.
What's up, brother?
Appreciate
Shout
you.
out
Appreciate
to
you.
my publicist, LaChris Jordan.
Yeah, LaChris.
We have work to do, sweetheart.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, for setting this up. All right. And we encourage you, please, to speak your truth quietly and clearly and listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant, because they too have their story to tell. So until next time, please keep in mind that we never had to run from the Ku Klux Klan, so we shouldn't have to run from a black man. Peace.
Right. Peace.
Peace, my brother. Y'all have a good one, baby.
Yes.
Yes, sir.